Today I thought I'd do a video on my favorite full frame pistol. It's one that you're seeing more, and I've seen videos of it on YouTube. I've had mine for about 2 years now, and it's just a really great firearm. And I know a lot of guys have done reviews on them, but I wanted to give you my perspective just because, I don't know, why not? So this is the CZ75 sp-01. It's an all-steel, full-sized, semi-automatic. It's a double action to single action, which means it can fire in double action and also in single action. And what we'll do is we'll show you that's clear. Okay. So, double action, and once again, single action. It's obviously a hammer-fired firearm. It has a double-stack magazine, slightly flared mag well. It was designed as a battlefield or extremely good target piece. It is heavy, comes in at about 2 pounds. I find I have no issue with that. It soaks up recoil pretty well. It's my favorite piece to take to the range. It's extremely accurate, right on out to 50 yards. I have no issues with it when it comes to that. It performs very well with either the NATO standard rounds that are a little hotter, or your Luger. It's eaten everything I've thrown through it. And I just think it's fantastic. So I want to talk about some of the little designs here on it that I like and don't like. The first problem is, if you live in a state that has restricted magazines, that can be an issue, because these come standard with a 17-round magazine. If you're looking for magazines to fit it, or ones that will look normal in it, that will look like this. This is the +2 on the bottom. It just looks nice. I've done a video on where to find high-capacity magazines that have been blocked so that they're legal in a restricted state. So that is the one problem that I found, is that getting a blocked magazine is fairly expensive. I want to say this one ran me like $35 to $40. There's two different types of magazines you'll see with this. You'll see the ones with the +2 floor plate, and then you'll see the flush fit. I think it doesn't really make a difference. For me, I like having that little bit extra there just because my hands are so big. As you can see, with the flush fit, I have a little bit of hang off here. With the extended, I have a little bit more in my hand. So that's just a personal thing that I like. The grip texturing is nice. It's a rubber, but it's a fairly hard, but the stippling isn't hard enough to hurt your hand. There is hard stippling here on the back. These grips can be swapped out. I mean, you can see right there, both sides can be quickly taken off and put on something else. It has a safety rather than a decocker. You can see there, it's ambidextrous, both sides, and it works quite well. The CZ75 sp-01 Tactical comes with a decocker. A decocker, what that does is when your hammer is back, it would be in the same place as the safety, and you hit it and it drops your hammer down without setting off a round, eliminating basically the need for a safety. I have found in my experience that some firearms with decockers have a much less pleasant trigger. So I really was happy to find one with a safety. And once again, if you're carrying this and you want a nice smooth crisp one, well, you set it to single and you set the safety, and then just like with every other 1911 style, you train to turn the safety off. Which the great thing about the safety is, when you're shooting, it's right under that thumb. Now, once again, I shoot with a double grip. It's hard to see here, but the safety is right there with my thumb and ready to go. Now, in this grip, I have two places, one for each of my thumbs, that I like to use. I know everyone's got a little bit different. The one issue with the controls here is your slide release is kind of difficult to work one-handed for me. You can kind of see that I can't quite grab it with that thumb. But if I'm shooting with two hands, my left thumb engages it pretty easily. Like I said, there's the right one, it's kind of missing it. There's the left, that can engage it pretty well. So that's the one gripe that I have with that, but a lot of people train, to go over the top anyways and release the slide, so I don't think it really matters. The other thing with this is a really neat factor of it, is the slide is inside of the frame. It's kind of hard to see. I hate to point the gun right at you, but You can see how the slide sits down inside of the, and that makes it a little bit lower profile, changes the recoil just a little bit. But with that, you have less area to grab, and that's why the cuts here in the frame are so aggressive, so that you have something to really grip and move that slide. That is something that I've seen some people struggle with because the springs are stronger in this, and the slide is smaller. They've had some issue racking it. I don't have that problem yet. Hopefully I never will. It does have solid steel rail on the bottom for attaching your lasers, lights, whatever you want to. It works just fine. I've had no issues with it. I just personally don't use lasers. It comes with integral fixed night sights. I forget what the recharge. They last a very long time. Like I said, it's been 2 years. I haven't changed anything on this. They work exceptionally well in the dark. They're very easy to acquire. It's the 3-dot system, and I have had no issues with accuracy on it. I have had no issue shooting either with one eye closed or with both eyes open. It's a very intuitive piece. The beaver tail here is actually quite nice, especially if you're used to 1911 styles. It's nice to have that in there, and it does help mitigate a little recoil. The mag release is pretty stout. That can be changed. That can be ambidextrous, but it falls right out, as you can see. You know, you've got some slight swelling there, and it's just made to come out. I like that about it. When you're doing a mag change, it just drops. So that's another plus, in my opinion. Another plus is if you live in a state that, with the magazines, if you live in a state that doesn't have magazine restrictions, they said the standard is 17. And, you know, the +1 floor plates make it 19. This one is blocked so that's only holds 10. But, once again, I like having that little bit of extra there. It just fills my hand a little better. And for mag changes, it's kind of nice, because instead of having this little bit to grab, I have, you know, over an inch. It's a little nicer. There is a lanyard loop on the back. I'm guessing just a holdover from the old communist days. I don't know why people have lanyard loops. Maybe someone can clue me into that. If you shoot with your left hand wrapped around the trigger guard, there is cutting in here specifically for that, so that you can get a good grip on it. I personally don't shoot that way. I shoot down here. But if you do like to shoot that way, there's a good, you can hear it in there on my nail, a good cutting in there to really get a hold of. It shoots fantastically well. The only gripe that I've heard from people about it is that it's heavy and that the slide can be difficult to actuate. But other than that, anyone I know who has one or has handled them falls in love with it. And I have seen, you know, very petite people handle this just well, and like I said, with the heavy weight, it does soak up a good amount of recoil, especially on those hotter lows. The barrel's about 4.6, I believe, on these. And there are different variances. Like I said, the sp-01 Tactical comes with a decocker. I don't think it's a necessity, because once again, if you really do want to decock, we've all practiced. You keep your muzzle in a safe direction, you pull back on the hammer, you pull the trigger down, and you let it go. So I don't think it's a necessity. However, I can understand why some people would want it. There is a half-cock setting in this. It's completely unnecessary. It's there so that it's easier to do decocking. But once again, if you're already decocking, okay, you let go of the trigger, and then you're at that weird half, just go all the way. Just don't let it go, because then you're going to cowboy and it's going to hurt. So that's the other thing. Now, I did have one issue with this once, where I had a day where I had a lot of just strange things happening. Wouldn't fire. So I'd take my hand off, I'd look back, I'd, you know, slap and rack the whole 9 yards, and be fine. And then I realized what I was doing. I had been shooting single action pistols all day long, and I was short stroking the trigger. And it's kind of hard to see, but there is a good amount of trigger travel on this. And if you don't let it reset after you fire it, you know, there we go. Let's see that reset right there. You can see that's a lot of travel. And what was happening is I was just literally not letting it travel back far enough, because I'd been shooting something with a much shorter travel. So that's something you will have to take into account, is, okay, you've got to let this travel a little more. But once again, you practice with that, and it's no longer an issue. I find that it's great. I've handled a number of CZs. This one is, in my opinion, the best. And if you're into target shooting, high accuracy, boy, do I really recommend this, because honestly, I don't think I'll ever be as accurate as this firearm is. Hopefully someday, but we'll see. The Shadow is out there. I've got nothing bad to say about it. There's a, like I said, a couple of different variances, and the CZ75 line is very proven. The 75 line started, I want to say, in the 70s in secret development, and it was chambered in a few different rounds: 40 S&W, 9mm NATO, 9mm Makarov, 9x21, and it's one of those, what they call the Wonder Nines from the 90s. When I say Wonder 9, really it's just not a 1911 style, let's be honest. And it was used in a lot of foreign places, and it became a sidearm for some armies. Very copied the old 75, but this new iteration is great. I mean, they really took a lot of thought when they did the ergonomics, when they, this cut down here by the trigger. Everything feels really nice and intuitive. Having that double stack with that nice one where you've got that big mag swell, it makes it a little easier when you're not looking to just kind of feel it out. In my opinion, it's definitely comparable to, if not better than, any one of them that are out there, any of the Berettas, anything like that. And I think it may be superior to them. Another reason to pay attention to this is CZ is coming to the United States. And they're coming from a company that is known for making fairly accurate firearms from a country that's known for having sport shooting as a national sport. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. MSRP on this model, anywhere between 900 and 700, depending on where you are and what you're looking at and if you can find it. The one issue I have found is finding holsters that are made to this exact piece. I have an Alien Gear for it, an inside the waistband Alien Gear, carries just fine in that. Other than that, I've made my own holsters for it. I like leather holsters, so I've just made them, because you have to find one that matches exactly. Safariland makes one that will fit it pretty well. I took a look at some of those. So there's definitely some out there. You just really got to hunt and make sure. And it is heavy, so you're going to want to make sure you've got a good belt on and a good holster to boot. So it's really something. If you see one kicking around, I really recommend you take a look at them. And like I said, I just really recommend this piece. It is the best full frame sidearm that I own. I have no issues with it. Once again, I've had lasers and lights on it. I've had no issues with them falling off or anything like that. They fit well. It's just a great piece. If you get a chance to shoot one, I really recommend it. Just be aware this thing is heavy because it's all steel, which is cool because you can abuse it and it won't break. But, people say that about polymers and Glocks too, but Glocks can break, I promise you. So, like I said, with CZ coming into the country, this is something we're going to see more of. They have a bunch of different lines in different sizes, different designs. You're going to see some polymer ones, some steel ones, some shorter, some longer. I really recommend checking them out. It's a really nice piece, and like I said, they put a lot of thought into the ergonomics on this, and a lot of thought into how to handle the recoil, and I love those night sights. I really love them. If you're going to do any after dark shooting, they're fantastic. So that's really all I have to say about the CZ75 sp-01, and I can promise you that if you practice with this, at 25 yards you will chew the middle out of a target with every round you send down there. It's just, the firearm is more accurate than most people just are capable of being, and that's why I love it. So if you've got any different experiences or anything you want to talk to me about on it, please leave it in the comments below. Look forward to hearing from you, and thank you.